study and see how Glenda Caesar fared with the events that led into the Windrush scandal. You'll find me speaking to Glenda in her home address in Hackney, and this is what happens next. Let's watch on. Hello, Glenda Caesar. It's great to see you today, and I'm really looking forward to our talk about the Windrush journey, most particularly about your personal Windrush journey and how you were brought up in the UK and how your parents came to the UK, and a bit more about what happened with the Windrush journey in your personal life and in the broader context of the Windrush generation and descendants here in the UK. And also, I would like to hear more about what your parents' hopes and aspirations were when they came to the UK. This is Neil Mukherjee from Windrush Commonwealth Service Oxford, filming for Windrush Commonwealth Service and Audio Film Productions UK Limited. Hello, Glenda Caesar.
Hi Neil, thank you for inviting me to share my story on this horrendous scandal. I came to this country when I was 3 months old with my aunt and my mother. We came to meet my father, who had already come to England to set up a home for us. I was the first of my siblings. There was 4 of us at the time. 3 was in Dominica, and because I was the baby, I was brought over to England. We came over, we lived in a 1 room in a house. It was the middle floor, I'll never forget that. My sister after me was born, so she was my first dolly, I would say, my first live dolly. Within that time, my parents had sent for my elder siblings, which was my brother and my 2 sisters. I think, to me it seemed like maybe months, you know, it may have been years, but to me it was like months. But within the time of us living in this 1 room, which Mummy and Daddy split into a bedroom and a front room, and we had access to a kitchen. There was no baths, so you bathed in the sink. But we were happy, and not too long afterwards, my mum and my dad were able to purchase our own home.
Wonderful. Glenda, I wanted to ask how life was when you were growing up here in England, and what your thoughts were about being part of the Windrush generation, Windrush descendant, or just coming into the UK and being part of England. How was it when you were growing up, and with siblings as well? What was the relationship like with your siblings, and how did you find yourself here in school and when you were progressing through the schooling system?
My journey in school was okay. It was fine. We, as a family, obviously, because our ages varied, but very close together, we was always in schools together. By the time we had lived here, I think my mum and dad ended up having 7 children. I'm the middle one, 3 older and 3 younger, so I was the middle one. But being in England, we faced, I think the first time that we actually faced any form of racism, I was in primary school, and a girl called me a name. But my mum and dad used to always make us alert. If someone said this to you, you know, you could answer this way, but before, oh well, you know, it's nothing. But Mummy always let us know that it was something serious if someone said anything to you racist, because it was like them, how would I say, defaming you, you know, giving you some kind of name that wasn't meant to be. And I think I came across that in primary school, and I was really annoyed because I didn't know why this girl would want to call me that type of name.
And how was your education here in England when you were in school? How did you find it, learning about English history, and how did you find your own story being as part of the English history, or how did you feel included as you were learning in school?
In school, my favourite, I'll tell you, in history, I knew nothing about slavery. We learnt more about the Tudors and the Victorians, but I enjoyed it. I think my favourite history story was about King Richard, the Lionheart, because he was powerful and he was strong. I named my son after him. My second son I named after him. But we learnt nothing about or the history about people of colour. We knew nothing. I knew nothing about that. So to me, schooling was English, get through it, and ensure that you got yourself a good job. My mother and my father were adamant that we got jobs as civil servants. I was a very young mum, but that didn't stop me from ensuring that I got my education, because that was very important to me. At the age of 11, my mother paid for me to take private typing lessons because I was always drawing pieces of papers and I was adamant I want to be a secretary. So that's where my journey began, I would say, with my career, where I went into administration. We was always told to apply for civil servant job. Either work for the Labour Exchange, the police, post office, or the National Health Service, which is now the NHS. So my journey was along that side. I did temping with different various NHS departments, and then I ended up in mental health for a very long time as an administrator, and I climbed the ladder until I got into management. I'm still raising my children, obviously, because like I said, I was a young mother, but I was adamant as a young mother I still wanted to get to where I wanted to get to. I was a mother of 4 children, my eldest being my daughter, who was born deaf, and I've got 3 boys. My youngest, who actually went through this journey with me as a Windrush victim as well.
We're catching up with Glenda today, and Glenda was telling us more about her journey, her story in England, growing up as a Windrush descendant. And we heard quite a bit about Glenda's progression from school into work and more about her family life. Glenda, I want to ask you a bit more about how your children found themselves growing up in England and how they found their place in England. And how did the Windrush crisis come into your life and what happened from there on?
Well, obviously I had been working for the NHS for quite a long time. My mother passed away in 1998 abroad, and I think that's when I found out that I wasn't actually British, or I held no credentials in the UK. Because his mummy had died abroad, I tried to make an application for a British passport and I was told, no,